Hello, 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 my lovely people, and welcome back to a video of mine. So, I know I haven't posted in a while, but I got really sick, mostly physically, and I was almost hospitalized, but luckily I wasn't. I just had to bed rest, and I had some exams as well, but I got my report card back. I pretty much got everything back. So that's that. But today I wanted to address a rather quite heavy topic that I feel is important to talk about as a person who's almost lost, and lost people to suicide. I thought I should talk some about it because I don't know, I just feel like talking about it because I think it's really important that we talk about it because it's a very sensitive, heavy topic. So before I begin this video, I would like to say that it's an incredibly heavy topic that I don't exactly recommend you watch under 21 because yeah, it is important to talk about it, but it's really sensitive and it's even hard for me to talk about years after these incidents have happened. So I'm mostly going to tell stories of people in my life who have either lost somebody to suicide or who have tried suicide themselves as a rather cautionary tale, and just to, I don't know, to talk about it because I feel like you just need to let it out, and I know that, talking about it, spreading awareness, and bringing light to these topics, to these somewhat, even in some places still considered taboo topics, is really important. So a massive, absolutely massive trigger warning for this video, because yeah, it's just triggering, plain simple stat triggering for so this video is mostly going to be talking about suicide and overdosing attempts. So I'm just gonna start with one of the first stories. So when I was about 13, 14, I had a good friend. I'm not gonna say her name. And we would talk a lot and we got really close. She lived in a different country, but we remained pen pals and it was really fun. I used to play Alicia with her, and we met there. Oh my god, I miss that game so much. And we became friends and we shared more and more about our lives. We were super similar. We were both pretty depressed at the time, and mind you, she was about 2 years older than me, but she, had a rather complicated family situation that I'm not going to go into for her sake. But pretty much that family situation was really bad. And at the time when she was telling me, I never really understood how bad that was. But now, as someone approaching her early 20s, I now see where it was wrong and what was wrong about it. But back then, I didn't really see what was wrong, and I tried helping her, but I really couldn't. And one day we were talking and she was incredibly out of it, and she tells me she's about to OD. So I tried talking it out with her. I tried to tell her that I love her and that she's a loved person and that suicide is really not the way out. And I know it's really tough right now, but things will eventually get better. She was really, really smart, and she still is because she luckily is alive, but I was fighting with her over text, just trying to fight for her, and it was one of the toughest conversations of my life with a person, but I really tried. I really put myself there, and I just couldn't. And a while goes by and I don't hear from her, like a couple of hours. I was sitting there anxiously until I get a text from someone saying she had to be taken to the hospital to get her stomach pumped. And I I never understood the seriousness of that at 14, but now I do. And I genuinely feel horrible for her because she had some other like problems I'm not gonna say out here. But yeah, it was genuinely horrible. And I hope that if she's watching this video by any chance, that she's better now, that she's happier, that she is in a better environment, and she's just doing better. I genuinely hope. And I wish her nothing but the best in life. Now I'm gonna move on to story number 2. So, when I was 15 years old, I used to date somebody. I'm not really gonna talk about him. I think I've spoken about him on my channel because he was an abusive menace, but let's just put it simply, I will never forget this one phone call I received in the middle of the night. This man and I dated for about 3-4 months until I realized he was cheating on me. But it was like after like 3 months of knowing each other, we were together. He all of a sudden calls me at 1 a.m. Mind you, he was a really successful surgeon before this, and he was really smart, really educated, just smart in general. And he just tells me, because when he called me, I could sense something was not up, because I was normally, when I was like 15, I would sleep at like 10 p.m. So, because now I sleep at 1, but like that's a different story. But like, so I just pick up the phone immediately, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what the fuck is happening, right? So I picked the phone up, and I just like, and he's like, he tells me he drank too much cough syrup and that he's scared. And I could hear the fear in his voice, and I could sense that something was not up to par with this, and that he was not okay. He wasn't doing good. And so pretty much, it was a 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was trying to calm him down for a good half hour when he OD'd, almost, and he was like really nauseous and was not doing good. And it was an honest nightmare of a phone call to get from someone that you used to love, because at the time I loved him, and I now realize that he never loved me, that he was always abusive to me, and that he was horribly, horribly wrong for dating me when I was 15 years old, and for the way he treated me when I was 15. But like, mind you, I didn't see it back then. Obviously, I didn't see the problem with this entire relationship, but it's not even about this relationship really. This video is rather about the fact that it's just me talking about people who I know who committed suicide or taken their lives or attempted suicide. And yeah, pretty much he attempted to OD, I think, if I remember correctly, and I remember to this day the fear in his voice when he called me. I will never forget that, because that's not a forgettable phone call. Like, when someone calls you when they're high and they tell you I'm scared, that's when you like, oh shit. Like, I think that was, sorry for crying, but I just can't really hold it. But I think that was one of the hardest, and I mean one of the hardest phone calls of my entire life. because I could genuinely fear that he was fearing and that he was so scared because I could hear it in his voice. And like, mind you, like, he wasn't the scary kind of guy. Like, he was the intimidating one. And throughout the entire relationship, I only seen him scared once, and that was when he attempted to OD. And obviously I was feeling horrible because, like, you know, I should have been there for him. I mean, I was his girlfriend at the time, and whatever, but like, what was a 15-year-old supposed to do with your OD? You know what I mean? Like, that was my problem looking back, that it's not, you know, because I knew he had people around him physically that he could have called up, and he chose to call me, and I thought, oh, because he loves me. No, because, you know, why not torment a 15-year-old with overdosing? And I will never forget that. And I remember the next day, because in that year, actually, I was straight A's for mathematics, but the next day we had a test, and I ended up getting a B on that because I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I was just tumbling in bed, mostly crying, and thinking about the fact that, you know, that, like, this is real, that suicide and things like this actually happen, and how much I've encountered it by then. And mind you, I was 15 at the time. Now, we're gonna progress further into our story from when I was 16. So, when I was 16 years old, or when I had just turned 16, I had these friends. They were twins, and I was the third friend. So we were kind of like sisters, and I was older than them by 2 weeks, and I was like the older sister, and there was the middle, and then there was the youngest. And we were like really good friends, and we pretended we were sisters, and it was all really fun. And we used to hang out together, and we were just like a family kind of. And one day, one of the girls, we'll call her the middle one because she was the middle one. So she went to like a school where most people do art, but it's like it's not much relevant. So, but a lot of people there had like smoking and drinking problems, and it was a high school, but like, you know, like some bad kids were there, and some people with some shady pasts, I suppose, and you know, so she well, you know, it was like a couple of days before her birthday, and it was actually 2 days before her birthday, and we were on top. No, it was one day. Sorry, one night before her birthday. So we were on call, and I remember her telling me. No, it was her birthday. No. Sorry, I just have foggy memory. But it was on her birthday day where she told me that the day prior they let them home from school for the day, and then the next day she wasn't in because of her birthday. But like, for the day they weren't in school, and I said, oh, how come? And she was like, well, because a classmate killed himself. And she was sobbing. Like, mind you, I've known them for 5 years, and I've never seen her sob like that. And she was sobbing, and I mean sobbing. Um, because, yeah, a classmate of hers had killed himself. And she felt so guilty, and I was talking with her for hours and telling her that it's not her fault that her classmate killed himself, because it's like she couldn't have done anything. She wasn't a bad person, and that she didn't know that he was struggling, and that she didn't know his pain, and that it's not her fault that he wasn't around anymore. And, you know, um, she, um, well, let's just say she was never really the same after, because she had to, and she still feels guilty, and it shook up the whole class, and reasonably so. Um, yeah, but that was story number 3. So now we're gonna go into story number 4. So this is a somewhat personal story. So when I was single, I was, looking around for guys. So somehow I always ended up with shitty guys. Like, my current relationship is like golden compared to what I used to have, and I'm really, really, really happy with my current relationship. And my friends always are like, oh my god, you're so happy finally, and you're being treated well, and everything. So my current relationship is the deluxe. It's like the top of the top. It's like the best that you could get. But back to the story. So when I was like dating around, I met a nice guy, and he was like, oh, like he wasn't, I think he did some kind of like engineer related. Man, I don't really remember, but like I remember he did go to some kind of uni. So mind you, this guy, he was like really nice, and we were talking, and you know mental health somehow comes up. And now the way it came up was that he was in a country where I knew that like every guy his age is supposed to be in the military. So I casually asked him like, hey, if you don't mind me asking, if I may ask, like, why aren't you in the military, like how come you're exempt? And he's like, because I am mentally ill. And I said, oh my goodness. And he was like, well, I've attempted suicide 4 times, and that's why. So eventually, like obviously I was very patient with him, and I asked if I could ask more. So he said absolutely, and that I could ask more. So I just asked around a little, like very decent questions, nothing bad. And he was like, well, his last suicide attempt was ODing, and that landed him in a coma for a month. And his brain got literally damaged. So that's a really good cautionary tale on why not to attempt suicide, because if you don't do it well, you are gonna have like literal brain damage. But another important thing I think should be talked about more is that, like, the reason why I think we should talk more about suicide and as a topic and make it less of a taboo thing, because nowadays I feel like so many people make it taboo, and that it's so bad, because it is really bad. Like, if you look at world charts, in a year there are 365 days, and every year roughly 1 million people kill themselves. So just divide 365. No, 1 million, sorry. Just divide 1 million by 365. That's a terrible number. That's how many, sorry, every day. And that is just the saddest thing in the world. And from the European standpoint, I can talk about it. So in the charts, Lithuania is the leading one with 28.2 people per 100,000 people, and Hungary is the second with 19.1 suicide per 100,000 people. So yeah, so Lithuania 28.2, and in Hungary 19.1 per 100,000 people who commit suicide. And imagine how many people attempt it who aren't successful, which luckily they aren't. But I don't want to talk about my own relation with suicide and whatever the fuck, but like that is just horrible. Like, I'm really sorry, but that is some of the worst numbers that you can think about. Because 20, even 30 years ago, it was completely different. People weren't so sad, and yeah, it's one of the worst things to see how suicide ruins everything. And I could tell a 5th story because I remembered I knew someone else who also had suicide problems. And yeah, so like, I live in a pretty depressed country where most of us know at least one person who died of suicide, who isn't, who was successful at it, who succeeded at it. But I think there should still be more awareness brought to suicide, and to make it less of a shameful and taboo topic, because suicide isn't like a weakness. It's not something to be ashamed of, because if you survive it, that means you're stronger. You're stronger than dying, and that God wanted you here. And it's never embarrassing to attempt suicide. It's not like, it's a bad thing that you shouldn't do. But don't be ashamed to ask for help. Because sometimes people say that it's like really selfish to attempt suicide. But I just want to say that even if you've attempted, you should always ask for help if you feel like you need it. Because it's not, it's not okay to not be okay and not get help, because you are just as worthy of help and love and care as anyone else in the world. This is a little positive message for the video, to try to cheer people up, even though this is one of the worst topics to talk about, and it still brings tears to my eyes. Fuck. But yeah, just saying that, like, yeah, suicide is a really hard topic to talk about, but I just felt important to talk about it, and important to talk about the numbers and the statistics, and to tell some stories, because I just wanted to. And pretty much, but back to what I was saying, I think that it's incredibly important to talk about suicide, to get help about suicide, and it's not a shameful thing. Like, obviously, it's one of the worst feelings when, obviously, it's like not anything that I'll ever be able, like, I don't want to make this about myself, but I want to tell some stories that I know, but like, obviously, it will always remain with me, that phone call that I got from my then boyfriend, who called me because he was scared to die of an overdose, because he was scared because he did too much drugs at once, and he was almost about to die and puke and whatever, and I was scared that he might die, and he was scared. Even he, and mind you, he used to have a medical license, so, just to put that there, like, even smart people commit suicide. But yeah, I just think that it's important to bring awareness to it, to how much of a problem it has become nowadays, and to just, to spread awareness. In my opinion, that's, I think, one of the most important things, is to talk about suicide and to spread awareness about suicide, because suicide isn't a joke. Suicide isn't funny. It's not a, ooh, haha, suicide, or ooh, cool, I survived suicide. No, it's something really sad that ruins millions of people every year. Like, it ruins millions of families every single year. Every single year. Like, I'm gonna look up the world statistics, and the people who oh my god. So far, we have 533,760 people this year who have committed suicide. And I'm filming this on July 1st. Oh, it went up. Great. So now it's 500,000 533,761 people who have committed suicide this year. And we're barely halfway through the year. So, yeah, we just wanted to bring awareness and to a little reminder to people to be more supportive of others and to take care of your friends and to check up on people, you know? Just check up on your loved ones. Tell them that you love them and stop holding grudges because life is way too short for that. But that is it for today's video. And I hope that this could bring light to someone's life, maybe, and stop someone or deter someone from suicide or spread awareness. And yeah, that's just what I hope. And remember, you are loved. Even if I sound stupid and so cringy saying it, but you are loved and you are a lovable person, and we all have our ups and downs, but suicide isn't the way out. I swear, suicide is not the way out, honey. If you're watching this and if you're feeling like it, please go and call somebody, get some help, because there is help out there. You are a lovely person, and I know that you will make good in life. You will do well in life, and I believe in you. And my Discord and my email and Telegram are all and always open to anybody. They are so my Discord and my Telegram are under Johanna1735, and my email is reginastarberries@gmail.com, but they are all found in my About tab on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to just talk to somebody or need some help in anything, please feel free to write to me, and I will write back as soon as I can and as best as I can. So yeah, just, you know, I believe in you and you'll do good. You are loved. And remember, suicide isn't the way out. It doesn't end the pain, it only passes the pain down. So yeah, I love you guys so much, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.